Hey everyone, today we're going to dive into this really powerful old story. It's about a man who, knew everything but somehow understood nothing. And his story, which might feel a little familiar to some of us, kicks off with one simple question. You know that feeling like you're just drowning in information, tweets, articles, podcasts, but you're starving for actual wisdom? Well, that's the heart of our story today. And let's be honest, it's a feeling that's just so common now, isn't it? All right, so let's get into it. The whole thing revolves around this young guy named Arham. Super smart, super curious, just wanted to know everything. But here's the catch. For all his learning, he was totally restless. His mind was just this nonstop tornado of thoughts. He couldn't find a single second of peace. And that right there is the seeker's dilemma.
So this guy, Arham, he was on a mission. He devoured every single book he could get his hands on. Ancient scrolls, modern philosophy, you name it. He was absolutely convinced the answers to everything were just hiding somewhere in those pages.
And it didn't stop with books. He was always in some lecture hall just trying to soak up wisdom from all these great thinkers. He really believed that if he just paid close enough attention, all that genius would kind of rub off on him.
Yeah, and he wasn't just sitting back and listening either. No way. He was in there debating, sharpening his arguments, challenging every single idea. He was totally sure that winning an argument was the same thing as finding the truth.
But after all that work, what did he have to show for it? This. The more information he stuffed into his brain, the louder the static got. His mind was overflowing, but his heart just felt heavy. He'd collected a ton of facts, but somewhere along the way, he'd completely lost himself.
So finally, he just hits a wall. Arham makes this huge decision. He puts down the books, turns his back on all of it, and heads for the mountains. He'd heard about this wise old monk who supposedly had the one thing Arham was missing: real, genuine peace. And this is where it gets really interesting, right? The irony is just perfect. Even while he's physically walking towards peace, his mind is still running the same old, tired program. He's thinking about past mistakes, he's obsessing over future goals, he's weighed down by this pride of being the smart guy. He was so trapped inside his own head, he didn't even notice the incredible world he was walking through. Okay, so after this long, tough climb, Aram finally makes it to the monk's little hut. He basically begs the master, "Teach me the secret to a peaceful mind." And the monk? He just smiles, invites him in for some tea, and gets ready to deliver the most important lesson Aram would ever get. So the monk starts pouring the tea. He fills the cup, and then just keeps on pouring. Tea starts spilling everywhere, all over the table. Arham's just staring, totally confused, and finally he can't take it anymore and just yells out, trying to get him to stop. And right there, in that one moment, bam, everything clicks. The monk looks right at him and says those simple words. See, the overflowing cup wasn't an accident. It was a mirror, showing Arham exactly what his own mind was like. And this is the big idea, right? A full mind doesn't mean it's full of wisdom. Oh, no. It's full of pride and judgments and fears, just noise. And just like that cup, there's absolutely no room for anything new to get in. So Arham finally gets it. He understands the problem. But how do you empty a mind that's been packed full your entire life? Well, the monk's training, it had nothing to do with books or arguments. It was all about shifting from knowing stuff to just being. You know, when Arham asked for wisdom, the monk handed him a broom. Can you imagine? Arham was so confused, but the monk's logic was just brilliant. He was saying, look, the road to inner clarity starts with outer simplicity. Clearing the dust from the courtyard was practice for clearing the dust from his mind. So Arham's new curriculum was, well, it was surprisingly simple. Sweeping, cooking, fetching water, just sitting in silence. But as he focused on the rhythm of these everyday tasks, something amazing started to happen. That constant chatter in his head, it started to fade. And in its place was this feeling he hadn't felt since he was a kid: peace. The monk had another great lesson for him, this one by a lake. He pointed to the water and said, "Look, when the water is choppy, the reflection is all distorted. You can't see anything clearly. But when it's completely still, it reflects the world perfectly." And our minds are just like that. A noisy mind distorts everything. A calm mind, it sees reality just as it is. So months go by, and Arham is just transformed. He didn't have more knowledge, but he was filled with this deep, solid sense of peace. When he finally went back home, people barely recognized him. He was a completely different man. He left searching for knowledge, but he came back with wisdom. And you could just see the change in him. It was profound. He walked slower, with this quiet presence. He listened way more than he spoke. And in arguments, he'd just stay quiet and smile. His strength wasn't about winning anymore. It was this inner peace that nothing and nobody could shake. Fast forward a few years, and now Arham is the wise teacher. One day, this eager young student shows up, asking for the secret to peace. Arham just smiles, picks up a kettle, and starts pouring water into the student's cup, and just keeps pouring, letting it spill all over. And of course, the student freaks out, just like Arham did all those years ago. And with that one simple act, the circle was complete. Arham was passing on the exact lesson that had changed his own life. He had totally absorbed what the monk taught him, that real learning isn't about filling yourself up. It's about emptying yourself out first. Okay, so let's bring this all back to us. This old story has never been more relevant, has it? I mean, our entire world is designed to keep pouring stuff into our heads. Notifications, headlines, opinions, all day long. This story makes us stop and look at our own overflowing cups and really ask, what are we so full of that we've left no room for peace? So the big takeaway here is pretty simple, but powerful. Wisdom isn't about gathering more things. It's about letting things go. It's about clearing out space so that peace has a chance to grow. It's amazing, really. When you finally quiet the noise, clarity just shows up. And that really brings us to the final thought I want to leave you with. This whole idea of emptying your mind, it doesn't mean you have to go on some epic journey to a mountain. It can start right here, right now, with just one small choice. So the question for you is, what's one thing, one thought, one worry, one judgment that you can let go of today just to make a little more room in your own cup?